Okay, so if you want to learn how to do a super neat, tight French braid, this is the tutorial. So I'm going to show you two different methods and how you can sort of hold the strands. I have got more ways of holding the strands. So if you want another video with the different ways, let me know. I can do those, but this is just two ways of French braiding. So to start with, I've parted the hair so I can do the two different methods for you. And then you want to really brush that hair through, make sure it's all detangled. And then because I want this super neat, I'm just going to go in with like a soft styling wax, and I'm just going to rub this on the edges. You could use a gel. If you like braiding with wet hair, braid with wet conditioned hair, that's fine. I'm just going to go in with this product. It's by VO5 and it's just like a soft styling wax. So I've got that product in the hair now, and I'm just going to make a little triangle. So that's the part line. I'm just going to come straight across, and then we're going to break this into three. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to come to this left hand side, okay? And I'm going to place it in between these two fingers here, like that. And now I've got a thumb and a pointer finger to grab the far right. So that's just going to grab the far right. And then I'm going to come to this section here. So this is my new outside section. Again, I'm going to put it in between these fingers here. So in between these fingers, pointer finger and thumb is going to reach across the middle and grab the far left. And I'm going to go one more time. So you want to do 3 stitches before you add in hair. So again, it's going in between these fingers here. Pointer finger and thumb is going to reach across the middle section and grab the far right. And now we're going to add in a little bit of hair that's in the thumb and pointer. So it's going to get added into this one. So you're just going to take a little tiny section, like so, and you're going to add it in here. So that now becomes one strand. You're going to come back to this one that's underneath here, find it, make sure there's no other hair that's sticking to it. And you're going to place it again in between these fingers. Pointer finger and thumb is going to reach across and grab the far left one this time. So grab it. And again, we're going to add in hair, so nice little section. It's going to go into that thumb and pointer finger. That then becomes one section of hair. You're going to find this strand underneath, it's sitting underneath this hand. Place it again in that normal position in between these two fingers, nice tight hold. Finger and a thumb reaching across the middle section to grab the far right. And again, you're going to add a bit of hair. That becomes one section again. Find your underneath one, place it into there, nice firm grip there, squeeze down, reaching across to this section. In a minute, you're going to see this braid being formed, and you can see that my fingers are staying nice and close to the head. And obviously, the smaller the sections that you add, the smaller the braid's going to be. You shouldn't really be pulling on the hair. It shouldn't really be hurting at all. Adding that hair in. And sometimes you're going to struggle to find this section. So if you just lift up this hand slightly, it sort of like makes that pop up a little bit. Like so. And then you place it back into those two fingers reaching across. Adding in. And that wax has just really helped kind of keep that hair together, so it's sort of easier to manage. So we're going to keep doing this all the way down, keeping it nice and tight to the head, adding in these little sections. Just be patient with it. And when you're learning how to do this technique, I actually find it's a lot easier to do it with 2 sections of hair. So rather than just do one straight down the middle. So these side bits like to kind of like have little bumps in them, so you can either use a comb, but what I like to do is just pick them up, smooth them out, put them back in, pick them up, smooth them out, put them back in until I'm completely happy with that strand before I move on. Grabbing that strand underneath, and you're making sure that all your sections, I call them clean, because if you've got little tiny hairs that get caught up as you braid, that's when it really starts to hurt the person that you're braiding. So you just want to make sure that all your sections stay clean. And again, that's where the wax will help, because you can see that I'm just running my fingers. I've got a little bit of wax still on my fingers, and it's keeping these sections all nice and together. So this side is usually the side that gives you the most trouble. So making sure it's a nice straight piece. And if you are in a rush and you haven't got time to take as smaller sections, as you get better at this, you can just add bigger chunks. And like I say, there is other methods of braiding that I can show you that will definitely help if the person's got quite thick hair and you want to braid that hair still nice and tightly and neatly. But this works great on 2 plaits, or if someone's got quite fine hair. So I'm going to start to bend this braid around the head. So I'm turning my hands, and my hands were like this angle to start with. And now I want the braid to kind of sit nicely at the nape of the neck. So I'm just turning my hands slightly. And the sections that I'm getting aren't going to be a rectangular shape like that. I'm going to start off, because I want the hair to sort of bend around the ear. So I'm going to take a tiny section from the start and then just come out slightly more. So it's more like a triangular shape, if that makes sense. And that's going to help me to bend this braid around almost like a little segment of an orange.
Yeah.
So again, I've come back to this side. I'm going to go really just a few little tiny hairs there. And then as I come in, I'm just going to bring my finger down a little bit to create that triangular shape. And then on the next one, I can go back to taking the same width all the way. I can just kind of make it the same distance all the way across. So I'm getting towards the bottom now, guys, and what people tend to do is just grab a big section and pull it up, and that's sometimes when you get that kind of loose hair. So make sure you've taken little tiny sections here, so continue to do that. And you've got to make sure that you're keeping these fingers right next to the head. Don't bring these fingers away, because the head's sort of curving in now, so it's easy to kind of cut braid away from the head. So make sure your fingers are touching the head, coming right underneath, keeping it nice and tight, taking your time on these last few sections. Don't rush. Reaching across. Do you know I'm going to go 2 here, I'm not going to go 1, so the last one's going in on this right side, so making sure that stays all tight. Can you see how my fingers have stayed to the head? And I've just got these last few little baby strands here. Really making sure that I've left nothing behind. Clean those sections, use some more wax if you need to. This last one's really important, so I'm coming in for this last one here. My fingers are there, keeping it tight, not moving away from the head. And there we go. I'm going to change my finger position now. And that is a little tight French braid. Now let me show you a different method on the other side. So again, I'm going to be using some wax. And sometimes it's quite handy just to have that wax, perhaps not there because it might sort of drag in the hair, but sort of back here. And then you've got it in case you just need to put some on your fingers as you're braiding. But this is like a really soft product. There's lots of different variations. Don't go for one that's kind of like a putty I don't think, because it's like, it makes the hair kind of a bit draggy. Like your fingers kind of drag through the hair a little bit. You don't want anything that's going to make the hair sort of have grip. It's more like just smoothing it all down. That's my preference anyway. So put this all the way through again. Just take your time. Make sure the product's all worked in, all by the neckline as well. Like I say, if you prefer to work with a gel or wet hair, I personally don't love to braid with wet hair, but I know some people absolutely love it. So whatever works for you, just to get that workable hair. And I do just run a little bit through the mid-lengths and the ends as well. Nothing too much, you know, but just sort of just to take out any kind of flyaways there. Now, I'm going to start by saying this is not my personal favourite way to braid, so don't come for me if I don't do it 100% how you'd like me to. But I do think it's a technique that people do like to do, so I am going to show you, but I personally wouldn't braid this way. So again, exactly the same. We're going to go across, taking a small section of hair, working that product in. I'm just going to hold it with one hand, push one nail through and then the other, and then I've got my 3 sections all sorted. And now I'm just going to position my hands how I need them. So this one is going to be where you're sort of holding the strands with your thumb and fingers pointing this way. So I've got the 2 outside strands like that. This one going through here, and these 3 fingers are kind of half holding it, and this one's being held with my thumb. So we're going to start off by just going across the middle one, picking this one back up again, so sort of holding it like this, in these fingers like that, and now this one comes across. Again, holding it with these fingers, the thumb goes here, and now this one comes across. And we're ready to start adding hair, and the hair this time is going to be added in and placed, and the thumb's going to be what holds it. So a little section. You're going to place it through there. That becomes one section. Making sure it's all nice and neat again. Finding this little section underneath. And again, you're going to hold it in these fingers like that. The thumb comes down on that braid, and then this one comes across. Again, we're going to add in a little tiny section, and it's going to come and add into this one here. Sorry, a motorbike just went past, guys. Hopefully you heard that. So little tiny section comes through, adds into here, smooth it out. That thumb is holding the tension this time round, okay? So this bit here is really important. Make sure you don't leave a gap there. Taking the little section back again, finding it, making sure it's nice and clean. And again, it goes in here, being held. The thumb comes down. This right hand section comes across and goes in that thumb. And again, we're going to take a little section of hair, add it in, smooth it out. Coming back for our little section underneath. Now the right thumb's going to do the work. So the right thumb now comes down on that braid, and then you cross over. So grabbing hold of that section, this hand slides out the way, right thumb now is doing the work, right hand is bringing this section over. Adding another little piece in. People can braid so beautifully neat with this technique, but I've just never ever done it this way. So I'm kind of like learning as I go, guys, but I think it's just whatever works for you with braiding is the way to go. You'll kind of find a style that just works really well and your brain doesn't fight you on it. But essentially a French braid is 3 sections of hair where the outside section is passing over the middle section, and then you're adding in hair. Just using a little bit of wax here, just because we started to get a few little wispy flyaways there. So I think you'll be able to see a little bit better now that I've come a little bit further down the head about this technique. So you're taking your section, you're smoothing it out, you're placing it underneath here so you get that pinch, grabbing your underneath section nice and tight, because that's this bit here that's been added in, so you need to keep that nice and tight. So give it a tiny little squeeze. You're not hurting them, you're not pulling at them. And now this thumb is going to overtake the left thumb, so I'm sliding the left thumb slightly, keeping that tension. Right thumb's coming down to keep hold of that braid, and that allows me then to drop the middle section and bring this left section folded over, and this has got to come underneath the thumb. So this finger's kind of pushing that strand out the way, this one's coming across, and then that thumb is sort of accepting it in like that. So you've kept the tension there. So I'll show you one more time, and then I'll show you the end bit again. So smoothing it out, keeping that tension, it kind of comes underneath that thumb so it gets pinched between these two. Oh, we've got a car alarm now. Find the section underneath, give it a little bit of a squeeze just to keep that tension. Right thumb's going to come out of the way slightly to allow left thumb to take over. Drop in the middle section there, keeping hold of the right section. That finger keeps that bit out the way, folding it over, allowing it into that squeezed bit there. And there we go. Keep doing it. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So just come in to the end of this braid. The same rules apply. So you want to make sure that you're not losing contact with the head. So make sure your fingers are right on the head. So easy to suddenly, by accident, start to braid away here. And then it looks nice and tight, but then when you release the braid, it's kind of moved away from the head, and then you've got that slightly sort of loose, baggy braid right at the end, which is not what we're after. So sorry, someone's car alarm is going off outside. I don't know if you can hear it, but we can in here. And it's really annoying. So last little tiny baby hairs going in, keeping nice and close to the head. One last little pull, thumb goes down, crossing these sections over. And there you have it. I'll do a little spin in a minute so you can see both braids, but let me know in the comments if you've tried any of these methods, if you found this video useful. Like I say, I've also got different ways that I braid. Actually, none of these two is the way I braid, but I thought this is kind of easy to show you. So if you'd like me to show you the other methods, put it in the comments. Let me know that you actually want the video, and I will do it for you. This side is like the thumb down method. Nice little strands, all nice and neat. Coming around the back. And then this way, I don't know, what can we call this way? I have no idea, but it's a different way of doing it. And there you have it. How to do tight French braids.